Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Excellency, all of judges of English competition, the Honorable, all of participants on English competition, and unforgettable, all of audience who will be international people. First of all, let us praise and thank the presence of Allah Almighty for the abundance of grace and the joy of all of us can still gather in this beautiful place in a good condition and happy situation. Not forgetting salawat and salam we pour out to Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has brought us out of the dark age to the era of bright light today, namely Islamic religion. On this occasion, I am Krishna. I am from Al-Fusa Senior High School. I would like to deliver my speech under the title, The Impacts of Digitalization for Youth Generation. Friends, entering the 21st century, do you realize that we live in era of digitalization? Of course, you don't have to looking for evidence. We can see from ourselves how this beloved country is always developing year after year in technology, in economy, or otherwise. But do you know what the digitalization means? Digitalization is the process of using or giving the digital systems. So this has a crucial meaning that if we live in era of digitalization, we always live side by side with technology. Technology in Indonesia has developed in Indonesia from time to time. We, as the young generation, must learn how to live regularly and manage our daily time. There are still many young people who cannot manage the time because they are carried away by the negative impacts of digitalization. Then, how can Indonesia improve if the younger generation cannot manage the time? Then, before we discuss about that, we must know how the impacts will be brought by the digitalization era. Then, how the negative impacts of digitalization era? For example, people who use technology excessively will have a mental health problems, lack of focus, lack of creativity, less active in social life, and etc. Then, what are the positive impacts of digitalization? The first is, it makes communication easier. With technology, we can communicate without meeting them in the real world. We can chat them just by typing and sending a message. The second is, it makes us easier to find information. With technology, we can find information without holding piles of paper. We can get it only scrolling the screen. Of course, this is very beneficial for us, for students who want to find out the material to develop ourselves. The third is, it makes literacy easier. With technology such as smartphones, computers, laptops, this will really help us in understanding information while doing reading process, because its use is very practical. Brother and sister, this is the purpose of why we have to develop digitalization in Indonesia. Because in times like this, we can get information in an instant way. So if we don't use technology, our country will be left behind in information, because the information that comes arrives within days. This really have a big impact. For example, we are going on vacation outside the area, and then there is a house burned in there, and we don't know where the fire extinguisher is. The nearest fire, we can use technology to call the fire brigade before we meet the firefighters directly. If we don't use technology, maybe it's not just one house that is burning. The surroundings will also get fire before we meet the firefighters. By looking at these impacts, we must learn how to avoid and follow these impacts. Saying that, we as the younger generation must learn from the impacts, from the experience of previous generation, that which will create the generation that is innovative, disciplined, and creative. That's all speech from me. I do apologize for all my mistakes. The last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.